there's a lot of discussions going on around AI, especially the agentic AI security space. No matter how smart we are becoming, but the threat landscape is still here. And to discuss all of this, we have a special guest today with us.
In my long career over the years, I've had the chance to witness the evolution of AI from its very core early stages like the generative AI, the conversational AI, and emerging the agentic AI. Each of these technologies bring a tremendous opportunity to transform how we work, how we communicate, and help us solve complex problems.
Welcome to X Security Pulse. This is where we learn from technology leaders, entrepreneurs, and builders, shaping the future of cybersecurity, AI, and telecom. Real conversations, real lessons, and real impact. Thank you very much for listening. If today's conversation helped you think deeper or build smarter, please subscribe to our channel. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are doing great. Welcome to Executive Pulse. This is your host Taha Sajid. Uh, आप लोग कैसे हैं सब? छुट्टियों का सीजन है. उम्मीद करता हूँ आप लोग you'll be having fun these days and having a great time with your family. Happy New Year from our side. Wish you a great 2026 year. Uh, तो आज टॉपिक है like before we go into the topic, there's a lot of discussions going on around AI, especially the agentic AI security space. No matter how smart we are becoming, but the threat landscape is still here. Uh, and to discuss all of this, we have a special guest today with us. इनका बैकग्राउंड देने से पहले एक चीज बताना चलूं कि like in the recent past, he has been helping me over some of my goals, especially regarding the AI space. So and like while I researched about his career, the best part I like about him is he has been in various industries, और इनका एक्सपीरियंस फ्रॉम द साइबर सिक्योरिटी स्टैंड पॉइंट, be a cloud native security and AI security in healthcare or in telecom, using different identity access management solutions. He has seen everything. तो मुझे बहुत important लगा कि when we talk about the AI and agentic security, he is the best person to talk to, and to take the guidance from. So welcome Salim to the show. It's been pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you,
Uh,
Taha.
yeah, Salim, when I was looking at your career, you started at an early age, and you have been in many companies, whether it's a T-Mobile, it's Dell, it's, like eBay, Cognizant, all of these different companies. And uh, what I really liked about your career trajectory is that you have grown from from the system engineer to the architect level to the principal level, and you have like one thing which have seen common in your profile is that you are always creating an impact, on wherever companies you work with. So that is a thing I like about your profile. So थोड़ा सा अपने बारे में बताएं सालिम, like for example, what pulled you into cybersecurity and how you have been staying so consistent so far.
Thank you very much for having me on this show, Taha. A real pleasure speaking to you all. Basically, in my 25 years of career, actually, I have spanned my experience in various industries and across various domains. Started with as an engineer, basically, where everyone starts. However, elevated myself into whatever the company requirements came in, being database administration, architecting, solution building, and security implementations end to end. So, going on based on the requirements of the organization, I have adopted and adapted to the latest trends and technologies in providing very highly secure solutions to the various organizations what I worked in. So that was a very thank you for a good introduction. So that's about me actually. So
Nice. It's just to touch on this aspect. How did you manage to transition into different industries? Because like why I'm asking you is, when somebody, for example, starting from a telecom side, right? If you're
Mhm.
into telecom, it is hard for you to transition into, let's say, a healthcare industry or a financial
Right.
industry. But looking at your profile, you have experience in healthcare, you have served the e-commerce platforms, you have served like telecom players, right? So, what do you think? What is that trait in your profile that makes you so attractive to to transition across different industries?
Very good questions, and it's a common question asked by many industry people. What happens here is my core expertise lies in the underlying backend of the systems, basically the infrastructures and the security and
Hmm.
engineering, automation, those kind of concepts.
Hmm.
Irrespective of any industry for that matter, the underlying infrastructure remains almost the same actually. What are the guardrails? What is the resiliency architect
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
you build, and how adaptable it is to the
Hmm.
latest
Hmm.
industry requirements. So all those things has to be well framed, well created and
Yeah,
architected actually.
yeah.
So that underlying infrastructure remains the same, and that is where I come into play, irrespective of the industries. All I have to do is, based on what organization I'm working, the governing principles uh, change actually. For example, if you are working on a financial service
Hmm.
institution, then you focus more on the PCI kind of a data requirement. While you move into a healthcare industry, you focus more on the HIPAA compliance requirement. So the focus shifts a little bit, but the underlying governing policies or the layout, actually, the
Yeah,
blueprint, it
yeah,
remains
yeah.
almost the same.
You made a very interesting point, Salim, and I totally agree with you. It's about if you think from a stack level, there's an infrastructure layer. Like think about an OSI model, let's say.
Yes.
Uh, what I usually give an example of, because people can relate to this OSI model. That there is one infrastructure layer where there is networking, where there is physical layer, where there is like transport layer, and then there is a session and the application layer which sits on top of the infrastructure stack. So let's say if you're bringing in healthcare or finance or telecom, the main difference lies in the application and the session stack, that how your application stack is built up, right? Because telecom industry has different protocols, maybe healthcare industries having different sort of application requirements, same goes for fintech, right? And the second main change is the compliance level. Maybe you need to comply more if you are coming from a financial industry point. Healthcare has the same requirements, right? And like ultimately, it's about protecting the data. Whether you're protecting healthcare data or maybe there would be a more strict requirement when it comes to span different industries. The underlying part is point is the same, that you have to protect the data and make sure that the users authenticate and authorize and access those data securely. That is the
So
main maintenance. Yeah. Moving on, Salim, I'd like to start off. So I want to in this podcast, I want to uh, spend more time on the agentic AI security space, because that is mainly the talking point these days, right? Uh, so if we talk about the agentic AI, like fundamentals, like when we say agentic AI, we're talking about systems that plan, decide, and act autonomously. So from a security architecture perspective, what is that single biggest control that breaks when intelligence becomes autonomous?
um, that's an interesting question, Taha. So in my long career over the years,
Mhm.
I have had the chance to witness the evolution of AI from its very core early stages of
Mhm. Mhm.
predictive analytics and machine learning systems to what it is today, like
Mhm.
the generative AI, the
Mhm.
conversational AI, and emerging agentic AI.
Mhm.
Each of these technologies bring a tremendous opportunity to transform how we work, how we communicate, and help us solve complex problems. However, very important to note, they also introduce unique security considerations. of all
Mhm.
the entire AI paradigms, the security risk associated with agentic AI are particularly pronounced and potentially of very, very high impact.
Mhm. Mhm.
This
Mhm.
is largely due to the autonomous nature, goal-oriented nature of the
Yeah.
agentic AI. Unlike the traditional AI, the the AI responds, wherein the traditional AI responds to the human prompts,
Uh-huh.
the agentic AI achieves objectives on its own. While the autonomy makes it extremely powerful, it could introduce the various risks if its
True.
goals are misaligned or if it is exploited. It
Mhm.
could act in an unintended or unpredictable and very harmful ways.
Yeah. 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 I
And yeah,
yeah. Just to add on, Salim, that's you made a very interesting point, and that is why I believe it is fundamentally different on how you treat, let's say, a transport layer security risk versus an like a agentic AI security risk. Because with the transport, if you compare like different sort of security stacks, here you don't know what the outcome can be. For example, if
yes,
you're using an agentic AI, the agentic AI can be deterministic, can be undeterministic, right? So you cannot plan a security control on the same fashion on how you architect a security solution on a traditional stack. Because with a traditional stack, it is about deterministic authorization. You can know, for example, how the user is traveling from A to B to C to D. So you can place the security checks on different hops. Whereas in the agentic AI, like control, you don't know whether the AI will jump from A to B and from directly from B to D, and like skipping the
exactly.
C part. So that is how you want to be very smart when you want to design such solutions, right?
Furthermore, just to add to what you said, Taha, the attack surface is more broader when compared to agentic AI is concerned because it interacts with multiple systems, networks, data sources autonomously, actually, even without human intervention. So even before you can know where it is stretching out, it may be too late. So it's very important how decision-making systems are well designed to safeguard, basically, and embed the AI security guardrails within the AI is very, very important here.
Yeah, and that is why I believe, Salim, that we are now moving from a permission-centric security to an intent and risk and outcome-based controls, uh, where we govern what should never happen, not just what is allowed, right? So it's about reverse engineering, and we should define that what should be the guardrails, what the AI should not do. Who can access the AI morals, right? So it has to be, since you made an interesting point that the attack surface is becoming complex. So we have to also become smart in how we design such solutions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
uh, Moving on, Sarim, there's a lot of talk about zero trust assumptions and zero trust security. So uh, Defining zero trust in the context of agentic AI, how do you define such approach? Because zero trust means different. Zero trust has a different meaning for everyone, right? But the core principles remain the same. So is it going to be different for agentic AI?
Uh, See, Zero Trust has been a big game changer for various enterprise
Mhm.
security enterprises or enterprise systems, basically, when security comes into play, because it assumes no implicit trust. Every
Mhm.
user, every device, every service or application must continuously verify its identity
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
has an associated permission.
Mhm.
So, however, when we look into the agentic AI, which is more, it works more on the autonomousity of it
Mhm.
actually.
Mhm.
Some of these traditional assumptions related to the zero trust break down here. It does
Yeah,
not
yeah.
work here.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically, traditional zero trust models are designed for human intervention. User logs in, system responds to the request, and access can be monitored or revoked in real time.
yeah, 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 yeah.
However, agentic AI acts independently and interacts with multiple systems on its own. So it doesn't wait for approvals or interventions, and it can chain together a lot of actions in the process of the workflow
Hmm.
in ways where it weren't anticipated by the original access policies. So this creates a very key challenges. Actually, it
Hmm. Hmm.
expands as we just mentioned. It expands the attack surface as it touches multiple systems than any human could, and it also undermines the human verification assumption in its core. Actually, as compared to the zero trust,
I think,
even if
yeah,
yeah.
sorry,
Go
sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, no, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, so what you're saying is basically, in the zero trust, we authenticate an identity, verify the
Yes.
posture, and then authorize an action. But agents evolve, like the memory changes, strategies adapt, and decision paths diverge over time. So basically, applying zero trust naively turns into friction or false confidence, right? So either you are constraining an agent and killing its value, or you trust it too much and it can authenticates everything, right? This is
Yeah.
like a dual-edged sword, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, technically speaking, actually, even if you provide a lot of verification to the autonomous agent, you can still make it unsafe.
Hmm.
That is a very risky part, actually. Even when you have verified the right decision capabilities of the agentic
Hmm.
AI, it
Hmm.
still can be unsafe and create unintended decisions.
Yeah,
And it can also bypass the traditional enforcement guardrails, actually. So
got it. I
beyond the
think,
identity and permission, actually. So we need to verify, basically, as you initially mentioned, right? So the security comes into play with what the intent and the behavior of the agentic AI falls into place. So that is very important. What is the intent? What is the behavior? And how it is aligned to the embedding security governance controls placed within the organization. That
got
is
got it,
more prominent to be implemented.
got it. And
Got it.
when I was
What
researching your career, trajectory and your achievements, uh, I came across, innovative identity and access management solutions that you have architected, and and the concept that you have established. I really liked it. Uh,
Thank you.
so I touched uh, something on the identity and trust in autonomous systems. That what does agentic uh, rephrase? Let's say we are designing an agentic AI system. So what does identity means for an agentic AI? That is one part of my question. Second is, how do we enforce trust without killing autonomy?
So, if we go back to the identity access controls, basically, whether it is the role-based access controls or APAC, attribute-based access controls, some of these concepts actually, identity is very traditional and it is very straightforward, actually, and it is tied to a human or a specific workload or a service, basically. And trust can be enforced based on its identity. A very key point, actually. With agentic AI, however, identity becomes abstract and very dynamic. The AI isn't a person, as we all know,
Hmm,
right?
hmm.
So it doesn't have credentials. It is basically in its conventional sense. Its identity is really about its capabilities and goals it has to achieve, and in context which it operates. So the challenge is basically balancing between trust and autonomy. You don't want too much restrictions to be implied onto the AI, which will take away its core functionality and the ability to make an autonomous decision making. At the same time, you definitely value what it brings it onto the workflow actually, and plan and let it act independently. At the same time, yeah, for that you need a much stronger guardrails beyond the traditional identity management.
True.
Actually, this
True.
is a big shift that is a big shift in the paradigm related to the identity-based controls versus behavioral or intent-based security controls.
Yeah. So what you are essentially saying, if I have to summarize, is identity can no longer be a static credential, and that's what we are seeing in current identity access management solutions. It's more about contextual and behavioral decision making, right?
Yes.
And if you look at the agent's identity, like security stack, so if somebody would ask me to define, I would include the agent's goal scope. I would scope it to what the agents can do. Then I
Mm-hmm.
would define the capabilities boundaries about that, what the capabilities should be there for each of the scope. Then it's about training and provenance, that how do you train that model, how do you train that process, that
Exactly.
workflow, right? And it's about also identifying the runtime behavior patterns, that once, for example, if the agent is taking too much privileged actions, then you have to be smart, and you have to define such guardrails accordingly as well, right? So it's about, you don't tell the agent how to act, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you define the invariance. For example, if the data, it should never access, or the action it can never perform. So you have to define the trigger containment policies as well. So so all what you do, you have to be smart, in defining such constraints. Yeah.
You touched upon a couple of very, very important points there, actually, when we talk about real time, actually, how we, in real time, how we really actually monitor or stop the agentic AI from performing its decision-making capabilities when it is misaligned with the actual workflow, or when it is being used by any kind of an attacker to do any kind of misconfigurations. Very important, actually. So how we control that. Furthermore, when we especially confine ourselves into looking into how identity works, like the question what we ask is, who is this when we talk about identity-based control system? However, in this scenario, what the question we need to ask is the CI behaving with safe and expected parameters like what we have designed it to do it? So, and make sure that the system is responding correctly, and also alerting the humans, actually alerting us when there is any kind of a deviation, actually. So that is very, very important. In the real time, getting alerts in the real time scenario at the right time is very key and important to prevent the attack to
Yeah.
expand to.
Talking about runtime security, Salim.
Mhm.
When we talk about runtime security, it's about how well you are logging the events. Like your whole logging design really can be an important tool. And then where are you ingesting those events, and what actions you're taking on top of those? For example, if you're using a Splunk or a XEM Palo Alto solution, or a Splunk backend solution, and if you are defining and if you are collecting the agentic logs there, and what playbook that you have defined in your backend to detect such alerts, and how well your threat intelligence is being integrated with such alerts to enrich basically the data. So that is how you would be very smart in designing such solutions.
That is very challenging as well in the current scenario. Like tools like Splunk, SIM, SOAR solutions, or any kind of CSPM solutions,
Mhm.
Cortex, any of those solutions, right? So
Yeah.
they are also evolving and building upon
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean to say, the latest challenges, actually. So here it's more about the intent of the workflow, actually, that again, capturing via the logs is challenging even with these tools. So you need to create a well-defined strategy actually to look into various
Mhm.
places and find centralized all your security alerting systems and logging and everything, and have a single focus point actually. So to handle this scenario actually, this is a very very big threat that is coming in, creeping in into the industries, and we have to quickly adapt and build smarter solutions and very focused solutions on this specific
True,
need actually in
true.
the industry.
I've seen Salim, a lot of organizations are experimenting around this space. Uh,
Yeah.
they are uh, they are using the traditional solutions, and even the traditional SIEM solution vendor, like the top tier SIEM vendors, they are also evolving. So it's about the industry is learning while experimenting, while doing POCs, and and since the enterprise does not have any choice, they have to just rely on their sort of newer variants of the solutions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like in the cybersecurity space itself, it took decades to be what it is today, with a lot of evolution, a lot of trial and errors, and other things. It
Correct.
will take some time for the security related to the agentic AI to be in that space, but it is a continuous and a more reactive. It's not a reactive state anymore. Right now, we have to be more proactive in this scenario actually, because the impact is very high. Uh,
Like, Salim, I must ask you this. When you talk about agentic AI, AWS plays a good role, in defining such platforms. And I was recently going through their reInvent uh, conference, because they usually, highlight new solutions there. So they have introduced like an agent core, like an agentic CI, agentic security module, uh, which uses agent core for it, right? So have you got the chance to take a look at it, and have you experiment some things on it?
I think thanks for bringing that to my notice, Taha. So I've been a little busy in during I have been not been able to follow the latest reinvent publications and other things scenario. But I think I will look into it very shortly. I feel that's a very important point. Every company, whether it is AWS, Azure, or Google, Oracle, all these are bringing out new and innovative solutions, but so with the substantiate evidence that they can work well. However, companies will have to start adopting it actually,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Hmm.
start with the POC, see how it gets implemented. Is it really rendering to what it caters to? So
Yeah.
those are some things we'll have to figure out ourselves actually. So
I
it's
think I think I was going through their white paper on agentic core security. Uh, it's basically nothing but a set of foundation controls that governs how autonomous AI agent uh, will work, and it's not at the application layer. It's on the decision, identity, and execution core. And what this means is, so we have defined this earlier, that we need to understand how the agents reason, what they're allowed to decide, what actions they can execute, and how trust is continuously recomputed, because you cannot there's not these are not like traditional like systems or workflows where they follow like certain hops from A to B, from B to C, from C to D, right? uh, defining some compute requirements or security controls are not enough. You have to constantly adapt and recompute what you have originally designed, right?
So that is very true. Like if you see the core foundation component of the agentic AI is the decision making component,
Hmm.
important, and
Hmm.
it is a natural behavior of human being that is being embedded into the AI. So how smartly you put the decision making capability into how you train your AI models. so that it takes the right decisions based on the principle, right governing principle that you have embedded is a key important. So you embed your security controls or your right decision capabilities when you're building these models. It starts from the very proactive state more than the reactive state. So all the solutions that are there, irrespective whether it is AWS, Google, any
Hmm.
company for that
Hmm.
matter, they may go ahead and provide you with the reactive controls
Hmm.
later on. However, strengthening your security guardrails proactively at the very initial stages is the most important thing that we can think about at this juncture.
Got it, got it. And I would like to add on something on the AI, on the agentic actions, that how we can better control it. So I follow this rule of thumb, what I call it. It's basically, three important things. One, make sure that agents never talk directly to your production services. That is one. Second is that like all actions, so what your agents can take has to go through AWS if you are defining on AWS, if you're using AWS Bedrock, for
Layered
example,
approach.
or AWS Agent Core, that there should be an AWS Lambda function, and Lambda function should be tied to AWS Step function. That is two. And third is the actions, whatever actions the agents can take, they should be pre-validated. One, predefined. It should be rate limited, logged, and should be reversible. So if you can comply to these some of these best practices, you'll be good when you come to, when you will implement any solution around the agentic AI space.
That is very true. See, if you're talking about the rate limitations, basically, it's more of a proactive control that has been a traditional approach for any kind of DDoS attacks and any kind of attacks or unwanted users logging into your systems. Furthermore, if you logging is a very key concept actually, whether logging, alerting, and observability is a very important. Now, observability brings out a very another big challenge because you cannot generate logs based on a decision. You can generate how the workflow is behaving actually, what systems is touching in its workflow. That is how you can get to know what the system is actually doing. So the traditional observability metrics does not hold good here anywhere. So and you can use Lambda, several any kind of serverless computing or any kind of automation to immediately alert or trigger what's happening in the workflow. But ultimately, placing the right observability within the whole framework, actually, what when the agentic AI started its journey till its finish, whether it is basically again, you will have controls before it touches into the production system. It somehow, in one way or the other, will touch the production system, which you cannot prevent it. But before that, you place a kind of a guardrail or firewall, basically a human firewall, which validates its accessibility to the production system. That is how I would define it.
True, true, true. I know, Salim, you have been, mentoring different security leads, and you also advise as a principal architect. So what are the three architectural decisions you'll advise that the architect should make, regarding an agentic AI systems?
Um, Give me a minute. Can you rephrase that question, please,
Yeah,
again?
yeah, I'll do that.
Just 1 minute, actually.
Yeah,
I lost my points.
that's fine.
Okay, can you ask that question once again, please?
Yeah, So in terms of so you have been advising architects and CISOs.
Mhm.
If you have to guide that, what architecture decisions that they should take when designing around agentic AI, what should be these?
So, as an architect myself, or advising to any architects who are working in this space, actually, I would very, very strongly recommend some of these principles and implementation strategies, actually. So, first thing is embed governance and set boundaries within the AI system itself from the very beginning. Design your agentic AI with built-in guardrails to execute governance, to execute it basically. The governance shouldn't be an afterthought, actually. Shouldn't be more reactive. It needs to be a part of the AI's core architecture. That would be the first place where I would start for the security guardrails for the whole agentic AI. The second component I would think about and implement at the very beginning is the continuous monitoring and the behavioral verification. The second part is very, very important and very challenging and difficult to implement. Traditional monitoring system assumes that any activity, it's a more of a human-driven activity or a service workflow. But autonomous AI require more real-time behavioral oversight, basically. So track not just what AI does, but why it does, and any deviations than its approach that has been well defined, well architected, should be immediately detected and stopped.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
That is the core, very important challenge here, actually. The behavioral intent and the behavioral verification and the stoppage of an unintended workflow. So that is very
Nice,
important.
nice. I think I got this question a lot. A lot of people ask me that, hey, I'm defining this new use case where we are using agentic AI. Now, what should be my design consideration? So I'll also want to add on my view on this, because this is very important these days. You know, a lot of
Yes.
companies are using agentic AI systems. So how I would design such an architecture is, I would have three main fundamental checks.
Mhm.
One is I would separate the intent, reasoning, and the execution layer.
Yeah.
When I say intent layer, it should be human defined goals. Boundaries, then it comes the reasoning layer, which is planning, decomposition, adaptation. And then third is the execution layer, which is controllable and auditable action. So you have to, first of all, separate intent, reasoning, and execution. That is number one. Second
Yeah.
is you have to redefine identity, because identity, whether you're using Okta or you're using CyberArk or any identity-based solution, you have to redefine identity from who to who plus why plus the boundaries. Meaning, you have to define the goal scope, you have to define the capabilities that what the agents can do, it has to be time and context constraints, and then you have to define what as the behavioral expectations is when such agents execute actions. This is number two, very important. Third is you have to always design for continuous trust recomputation, meaning what you have defined earlier, what you have defined, for example, a policy or an authorization check earlier, that should be recomputed every time, because the agentic systems learn, optimize, adapt, and then interact with other agents. So the models, the control should not be static, should evolve over time, and there should be a continuous monitoring for decisions, not just actions. Just taking the leaf from Mr. Salim. So that
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
very important. Yeah.
Very, very important, actually, right? So ultimately, it is what are your proactive controls and what are your reactive and controls, and what is your mitigation strategy in the case where
Yeah.
there's 100% deviation and your systems are compromised. Actually, what's your
Yeah.
mitigation? So that comes more as a reactive scenario, but
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Moving on, Salim, this is my most favorite round, which I call it rapid fire round. It should be fun and insightful for our audience as well. So here we'll ask you some questions, and you have to just respond to me spontaneously without thinking too much. No, you've been like a scholar, and you have done a lot of research, so you spend some time before you respond. But here in this section, you have to just be as spontaneous as you can. Uh, so first question is like in the context of agentic AI, do you see this an opportunity or an existential risk?
It's a huge opportunity, if I would say, if we get the governance and safety controls right.
Yeah, yeah,
Without them, the risk grows exponentially. It expands basically. So it is a huge opportunity
I see.
uh, if I
I
would
would
say
say I would say it's an opportunity as well as it's a risk if not handled properly.
properly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. One security myth about AI you strongly disagree.
Um, that the traditional AI security controls will work for this. That's a
Yeah.
big myth. Autonomous AI breaks almost every assumptions we have relied for decades.
Nice,
So
nice.
the
And I think like keeping this in view, the teams that we have trained or the engineers, architects who have had a lot of security experience, they have to also be trained and adapt to this new sort of like elephant in the house. So they should keep themselves also up to date. And one of the resources that I really like is, so these days if you want to learn anything, YouTube is the main, this should be your main resource, and everything you can get for free if you are hunger and if you're eager to learn, and grow. Yeah. Zero trust.
absolutely.
How will you define zero trust in one sentence, Alan?
Never trust. Never trust. Always verify continuously.
Yeah,
Everywhere, for everyone, and that includes any systems, whether it is AI, non-AI systems.
nice, nice. Good one, good one. I like this. Okay, moving on. Build controls first or observability first? What?
Observable.
Why?
Observability first. You cannot secure what you cannot see, man.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
when AI is making autonomous decisions. If you do not have the visibility, how will you be able to even control it? What's
And
happening?
how do you convince your business to set up your observability stack first, then to build it, right? Because
Without
ultimately it's about
observability,
your
we don't
reputation.
know who's attacking who, what anybody is doing, what decision the agentic AI or even non-AI systems is doing. So observability is a core, fundamental, and foundational requirement for any organization. Having a very centralized and a well architected observability solution. Centralized, I put it on double quotes. Actually, you have multiple systems, multiple observability solutions. It doesn't work. There are multiple people watching. That is not synchronized. It doesn't help. You need to have a centralized observability solution.
That's
That
that's
is the main focus area the organization should work towards.
nice. Nice. Is there any metrics that you have to have for observability to make sure that your observability part of the solution is working fine?
Uh, See, metrics are basically the evaluation strategies, basically. So, what are the things that you are looking for? What are the things that you're defining within the observability solution? Like, for example, if you are creating observability solution for a firewall networks, actually. So, what are the I mean to say, what are the IP address ranges and that are coming in, who is accessing what systems, where the threat is coming in. So you have a centralized solution so to the monitor the network.
Yeah.
Same way when you are making changes to a system
Mhm.
from the cloud infrastructure, basically you monitor the logging and have observability. Who is making the changes? Who
Yeah.
is touching the production system? Who is accessing this data source? So
Yeah.
when you have that visibility, you can backtrack if there is a kind of a security breach or any kind of a attack that would happen, internal or external. Actually, you will be immediately able to catch the culprit there actually immediately.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have no way to identify who is doing what. So
True,
that
true.
is where I see the observability is a key ethos within an organization.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. Uh, Salim, one skill every security architect must learn in the next couple of years.
Understand the AI behavior actually, whether how the AI actually works, whether it is whatever the AI models are, how they contribute to the organization, what are the risks associated with them, how to mitigate those risks, how to place good strategies to prevent any kind of risk from happening. So, and how safely you can manage and build and use the beauty of AI. So that's a very key thing that we should all focus on in the coming years.
I think for me, I would add a couple of points here. So first off, uh, AI has become such a buzzword that every business leader wants to use AI in their workflow in their organization. And
Mhm.
agentic AI is I would say a variant of that AI, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and with all of this information and content available in the web, everybody is getting himself up to date or at least trying it. But I think one of the skill that I would recommend for our architects is uh, the communication skill, that how would you convince your business that you really need an agentic AI solution. That is very important. You have to understand the metrics, you have to understand the stack, you have to understand how well that agentic AI solution can contribute to your business in terms of numbers, in terms of efficiency, whatever that metrics can be. So that is
Yeah.
very important. Second, you have to also work on your collaboration skills. That's something which people don't talk about often. But how would you, let's say, like collaborate with your security engineering team, your operations team, your application level stakeholders, right? Because ultimately, if they bring you, if you're part of a security organization, and if you have to review such a solution, if you cannot, collaborate them, like if you cannot collaborate with them better, then you may not communicate your value to them, or your message to them. So that can impact your goals as well. So that is something which I would recommend, that you should work on.
Yeah. So I would like to add a few points here actually. See, the introduction of AI or agentic AI or any kind of additional conversational AIs or generative AIs is more of a solution designing capability or innovation that the organization comes in. So, however, with that ownership also involves a lot of responsibility, and the risk management falls on the shoulders of the security architects like us actually. So the organization decides to go with the usage of a certain LLM model, AI solution, and now we as security architects deep dive into that space to identify how safe it is to bring in that solution into the organization. And when we bring in, we take the responsibility on our shoulders to safeguard our data assets, actually, our assets within the organization, whether it is data, our systems, and everything that is within the space of our environment. So it's a huge responsibility to undertake, but yes, once undertaken, it may provide a lot of benefits to the organization. And when we think as a team, that is where we bring in a lot of innovation and scale our uh, to scale ourselves beyond the horizon. I would say it that way.
Got it, got it. I think that's been really helpful. Thank you for sharing this, Salim. Closing on, Salim, this is our last section. So looking ahead, what responsibilities do you think security architects like who are shaping up ethical, resilient, and trustworthy AI systems, uh, and what gives you optimism despite the risk?
Um, see, when we talk about shaping the AIs that are ethical, resilient, we and more on trustworthy, it means not just building the systems, but designing them so that they can align with the human values, comply with the regulations of the organization, of the country, of the industry, and it can be operated very safely. That is a core ethos or the ethics that the AI architects basically have to work towards to ensure a safer and more robust, non-breakable AI systems, and we work towards embedding governance basically into these AI models. Actually, that is what we would say, and we take uh, the accountability is very very key important here. Actually, who is accountable
Yeah,
for what,
yeah.
and what rules controls are in place.
I
That
understand.
is very important. And
Salim,
when, yeah.
this has been a masterclass, and very important, like conversation with you, uh, because everything is evolving, right? We talk about autonomous
Yes.
system, we talk about healthcare, protocols, fintech applications, and today I myself have learned a lot from you, and I think our audience have also, gained lots of valuable information and insights from your career and from your experience. Uh, I think if somebody wants to reach out to you, where they can follow your work or learn more about your research and your architecture hat, what's your sort of go-to place where people can come and reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really, really love the conversation. I happen to learn many things from you today as well, and regain some of the past knowledge which was slowly disappearing. Thank you so much. I'm available on LinkedIn, so you can connect me on LinkedIn. So feel free and to connect with me. I'll be more than happy to assist you with any of the solutions, any kind of discussions. I'm more than happy to be part of your discussion forums as well. See, with together we learn, together we evolve. This entire industry works about what you know and what you share with others, actually.
Hmm.
Without that, we cannot have a safe environment. There are someone
True.
who is ready to take away what we have, whether it may be data, whether it may be any kind of your system, your job, everything actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to work together, we need to work collaboratively. So that is what I would say actually. And
Nice.
again, this is a slow evolution, and the evolution here, this is, excuse me, this is not a slow evolution that's happening right now. It's a very, very fast and rapid paced evolution that's happening. So, and by the time you realize or you know what is happening, it would have already happened. The damage would have already been done. But however, when we work collaboratively as a team, then we learn from each other that this threat has happened and this is how it can be prevented or mitigated.
Got it.
So teamwork is very, very important.
So this is what I ask every guest who's coming from a cybersecurity background. If anybody in this day and age, if there is any skill which has a lot of opportunities, a lot of career progression, it is a cybersecurity skill that you can get. So uh, if let's say if somebody like sitting in home, they are doctors, they are from a financial background or a non-IT background, if they want to come in cybersecurity, how they can get an opportunity here and what sort of a pathway you think that they should follow to get jobs, in
Yeah.
this day and age.
See, cybersecurity is a never-ending and a niche area to focus on, especially for the coming up youth and mm, Gen Z is what we call, right? So the
Yeah.
reason is the threats are evolving, technology is evolving, the way. I'll give you a small example. For your house, you put in doors, various surveillances, guardrails, and other things. But as a thief, I would still, if I'm a thief, I would still find out new ways how to get into your house and steal your property.
Yeah.
Right? So that is exactly. So every person on this earth has something to secure, something to safeguard, whether it is his home, whether it is his office, whether it is his
Yeah.
personal belongings, organization. So you need security for that actually. And
Yeah.
how you're going to safeguard without any knowledge,
Yeah.
you need to have a knowledge of security. And that is where the jobs lies. That is where this requirement lies in the industry. So
Yeah.
until
True.
there are thieves, you need somebody to guard
True. True. True.
from those
And
thieves
somebody
actually.
getting into from a non-IT or a non-technical into cybersecurity, I would say two things only. I'll keep it simple. One is learn whatever you can. Start from the governance, risk, compliance, because that is something which will be non-technical for you, and it will be easier for you to come into this space. And there are tons of content on YouTube. There's good certification on Coursera from Google. You can get a cybersecurity GRC course there. That's a good one. And secondly, try to do some hands-on projects. Where you will find those opportunities. Join forums, join chapters, join working groups available from like an ISC2 on Cloud Security Alliance. Just Google and use ChatGPT to explore uh, and volunteer for such opportunities in those working groups, and try to see how the industry experts are applying those skills. So there is one thing which is your theoretical knowledge where you can get from certification, so which you can get, and second, apply those knowledge in the projects and work on some white papers, some projects, and improve your sort of resume from there. That is will give you more opportunities. And thirdly, seek the internship and the early career level opportunities, and you'll find tons of it, right? And if you want to get something, please reach out to Salim, and to myself, and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I think it's been great. And thank you again, Salim, for your time. Until next time, take a very good care of yourself, and remember always, knowledge is always key, no matter it's an AI system or a traditional system. And applying those knowledge to your work or to your industry will give you more strength. Thank you very much. Take a very good care of yourself.
Thank you so much.